Ultimate Black Panther is returning to Wakanda with his new powers. And as we know, since he's been gone, some things have happened. So between him, Killmonger, Okoye, and Shuri, a lot of people got some explaining to do. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like or a hype, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so recently in this series, there's been a lot of stuff going on. From Killmonger taking the throne in Wakanda so he could be in a position to do more, because like he said before, he doesn't want to be a king. There are too many rules tied to it, but at the same time, with things getting more hostile, he's not just going to sit around with his hands tied behind his back. And aside from this, there's what we saw with T'Challa and Storm, where they left Wakanda together to investigate dark Vibranium, only for that to lead to a deeper connection between the two, as well as them going half on a baby. But also with Storm being with child, this is where the progenitors thought that they were through with T'Challa, since Zanan wanted to use their child as his new vessel. So he tried to take T'Challa out of the picture, since he figured T'Challa had already done his part, only to have the Panther goddess Bast step in, pull T'Challa away, and take his powers to the next level. And after Killmonger and the Sorcerer Supreme, and I mean mostly Killmonger, tortured Khonshu and Ra to get answers out of him, and in their case mainly Khonshu because that dude sung like a bird. But this led to Killmonger discovering that T'Challa has an important role and they need him back, in addition to the new details about Shuri being the spy this whole time, which is something that I still feel some type of way about. But coming back, this continues with Killmonger making his way to a location that Shuri had given him to find this ancient hidden kingdom. And along the way, you have members of the Dora Milaje who are basically telling Killmonger like, okay, T'Challa might have made you general, but you're not our king. And really, regardless of how they feel, Okoye trusts Eric to lead them, so he reminds them of that here. And now throughout this, we also go back and forth between the search and the conversation that Okoye's having with Shuri, where it's like now they've already confronted Shuri with the whole traitor accusations. So on one hand with Killmonger, he's not sure if this mission is a trap, but on the other hand, in this conversation between Okoye and Shuri, for one, Okoye also thinks it's a trap, but then also for Shuri, she's very much in this whole let me explain kind of mode, because she starts out by telling Okoye that everything she's done to protect Wakanda. And as far as what she's leading Killmonger to now, it's not a trap, it's the truth. And it's funny how there's a moment here where one of the members of the Dora Milaje, they just ask Killmonger like, what is your relationship with my queen? Do you share her bed, Wanderer? And he's just like, I sleep alone. Stay focused, Milaje. And I'm just like, yo, they trying to find out what's popping. But he tells them to stay focused because they've come here looking for a way to stop the progenitors. So given the whole situation we've seen lately with dark Vibranium, he tells them that they should assume that this place knows why they're here. So in other words, he's like, get out my business and lock in. But again, with us jumping back and forth between the two locations, back in Wakanda, Shuri asks Okoye, why did you not tell your brother of this? Why did you not tell me? And Shuri says here because T'Challa would not have accepted it. Not in time. Wakanda has an opposite, just as Vibranium has an opposite. Khonshu sought after that power for himself, and T'Challa has no idea what he can be, Okoye. The progenitors gave these people Wakanda's opposite. Gifts, dark Vibranium, cosmic knowledge. They believed they were chosen. Some among them believed they were cursed, and they were right. And now at this point, Killmonger and the others reach a door with some markings on it. So he asks if what they're looking at is a Wakandan symbol, and they tell him no. But just based on the Vibranium reacting, this lets them know that they're close, as the door opens and they head further in. And now back over with Okoye and Shuri. It's here where Okoye asks Shuri directly, did you kill your father? And this is where Shuri tells her, no, but I let it happen. And I gotta tell you right there, man, all of my suspicions of Shuri possibly being innocent just flew right out the window. Cause now it's like, man, it was Shuri this whole time. She was the traitor. Had me like, it was you? Cause again, we were told this before, and I made arguments back then about how she could be or how she might not be, but now it's just, no, that's it, it's her. But she tells Okoye here, no, I didn't kill my father, but I let it happen. He would have led my brother into the hands of the Vodou Khan. I suspected them, and I was right. And you can just tell Okoye is beyond hurt and disappointed. But Shuri continues here telling Okoye, my father knew the truth about Vibranium, about the progenitors, about what was coming. And like every generation of Wakanda, they thought they had more time, willing to risk all of us to keep the truth hidden, to protect their legacy. And this is where Okoye is like, your brother's gonna hate you. And Shuri tells her here, my brother is either already dead, or he must kill what he was to be what he can be. This is a war of gods, Okoye. Khonshu knew that. You must accept that. Last time I saw T'Challa, he was changing. May my brother finish his great becoming. And I gotta say, this whole thing with Shuri being the traitor, once again, not feeling it, but here we are. But really, this is one of those cases where after Shuri learned everything she had learned, she had jumped the gun out of fear. And Shuri talks more about that as this continues, but over with Killmonger and the others, what one of the members of the Dora Milaje mention, or take notice to how this place still has power. Because again, to them, this kingdom of the ancients, it's all new. But when one of them says this, Eric calls them out here, since they often call him a wanderer or whatnot, but he calls them out because like, this is a kingdom sitting right under their nose and none of them knew it was here. And it's almost like he's telling them, hey, maybe if you wandered more, Wakandans would have known about this place a long time ago. And soon after, when they find the passage to the hidden city, Eric goes on to tell them more. So Eric goes on to tell them how the people who lived here before wished to gain the power of gods. And he says here, this place is older than your Wakanda, all your ceremony, all your traditions, yet you people know nothing of what you are. Take note, Dora Milaje, it took a wanderer like me to show you, and you thought Wakanda was the only kingdom. I bet you people never looked for another. And as they head further in, there are even more signs of how the people of this city used to worship the progenitors. And it just says Eric like their worship didn't keep their kingdom alive. And he tells them, in my experience, the last thing people do before they wind up destroyed is ask their gods to protect them. And that's where he's asked if he has no belief. And Eric is very short and to the point about it because he's like, he only believes in what he can see, not in what he hopes to be there. And after that, he's like, let's move deeper, stay tight. And when we go back to Wakanda, at this point, Shuri, she's in handcuffs. And we get this moment here where Okoye tells her, it's hard to look at you and see someone who would let their own father die. And on Shuri's end, there's this whole sob story where she's like, my father never knew me. I was raised by handmaidens while he gave speeches. And she was like, T'Challa mattered to him, but I was just born. And I'm just like, okay, boo-hoo. You're still whack for letting them people kill your daddy. Talking about how she was raised by handmaidens. I'm sure it was hard for you. And when Okoye straight up tells Shuri here that she can't trust her, like, I don't blame her. And I mean, Okoye was ready to cheat on her husband, but that's different. And Shuri tries to make a case here saying like, of course you can trust me. I love Wakanda more than you do, which is why I always prepared for war. I just didn't realize what would be on the other side of that war. Then she says here, I looked at my brother's data, ran some tests, found some patterns. What I want to show you, no one here can know, not until my brother returns. And that's where Okoye is like, show me. And back over with Killmonger, it's here where he reaches a room where there are images on the wall that tell the history of this city. And the images show how when the progenitors arrived, one nation bowed and the other walked away. And really this is showing them here how when the progenitors came, the people of this nation, they bowed to the progenitors and worshiped them in hopes of getting power, while the Wakandans chose to walk away. But while they're checking this out, a member of the Dora Milaje hears a sound nearby, so she goes to see what it is, only for her to catch a spear through the neck. Because inside of these stone statues placed around the room, there are these biomechanical guards that just start breaking out of them and coming to attack. So for a moment here, everyone regroups and Killmonger tells the Dora Milaje to stay close and follow his lead, just before a voice off to the side says, no, Eric, follow my lead, because now T'Challa's back and he's ready to show off some of his new abilities. And the timing is kind of perfect because these guys sure could use the help, because there's even more of these guards coming in right now, which just goes to show that they're really trying to protect something important nearby. But what's funny here, when T'Challa shows up, Killmonger just starts catching him up on what's happened or what he's missed since he's been gone, and he tells him here, while you were gone, I sat in your fancy chair, hope you don't mind. And T'Challa tells him, I'm sure you had a good reason, Eric. But again, Killmonger's like, you can have it back. Being a king doesn't look good on me. Too many rules. Which again is the same thing we heard Eric express before, as far as not having the desire to be king. But during this, there's also a moment where T'Challa does this whole sonic boom thing, only for Eric to be like, oh, you missed one, you're welcome. And T'Challa's like, appreciate it. But then Eric asks, could you always do that sonic boom thing? Or is that some new back from exile thing? So T'Challa's like, do you believe in our pantheon of gods? And Eric says, not really. So T'Challa just tells him, then my answer would do you little good. Because after everything T'Challa's been through lately, if he would have tried to explain it all to Eric, it probably wouldn't click, because Eric said he only believes in what he can see. But I'm just like, how much stuff you gotta see, bruh, to start believing some of these stories? But nonetheless, T'Challa lets him know that the biomechs were protecting whatever's behind this, which as it turns out, behind the images that told the story of this city, there's a room full of vibranium in liquid form. And T'Challa tells him here, Eric, today we might challenge your lack of belief. And when Eric asked what is that or what are they looking at, T'Challa tells him, vibranium held in liquid form, a feat I once thought impossible. The Western Europeans used to scry with black mirrors in the dark to see beyond sight. Here we can do the same because a goddess told me so. And as they're looking into the liquid vibranium, they see an image and it has Eric like, what is this? And T'Challa tells him this is the home of our enemies and of those who shared their power with us. They are the same. And with Eric noticing how T'Challa's sounding different, he calls him on it. And T'Challa just tells him it's because he's been through a lot. And then he says here, the worst is coming. If you stand with me, then you'll be fighting to save the world. Our lives won't matter. We will have to be willing to die. And for Eric, that's not any different from the way that he's been moving. So he's like, T'Challa, I'm always willing to die. That's what keeps me free. And that's when they leave from here to head back to Wakanda, where now Shuri's showing Okoye the secret she'd found. Cause she tells her here, T'Challa discovered how to isolate one vibranium signature from another, like hearing a song in the wind. So when she used that method to analyze Wakanda's foundational structure, she found these energy signatures just beneath them. Because between T'Challa, the Nigerians, and the Americans mentioning that they're looking for a gateway, it's here where Shuri's like, the gateway is here. It has always been here. And now with T'Challa and the others heading back, Okoye gets word, and this is how Shuri finds out that her brother's still alive, so now she knows she has to face him knowing the truth. And in the case of this gateway, when Okoye asks Shuri if there's anything they can do to stop them, Shuri basically gives her the, well, yeah, there is, but I'm gonna need you to take these cuffs off of me first. And even still, Okoye's like, hey, don't make me regret this. And now with T'Challa, Eric, and the others getting back, this takes us to a very brief moment where a lot of truths are revealed here, because it's around this time where T'Challa finds out what Shuri did, whether it was from Killmonger while they were on their way, or from Okoye, because we're not really shown who had told him. But when it jumps to later on, we're just dropped into the middle of the conversation between Eric and T'Challa, where they're both telling each other what happened with each other's girls, because now Eric's like, I don't own Aurora's choices. And he's like, besides, I thought about sleeping with your wife. And T'Challa's like, come again? So Eric just tells him, you guys might want to work a few things out. And at this point, T'Challa's already told him that the progenitors have Aurora right now. And this basically has Eric like, well, we gotta go get her. We gotta save her right now. And when T'Challa tells him that she's not dead, they would have killed her if they wanted to. I mean, right there is like, we know that they haven't killed Aurora because they want her to have the child first. But just going by this conversation, we can tell these guys have not gone over those details, because this was something Zenon told T'Challa directly. So I imagine T'Challa just doesn't want to get too specific with Eric. But during this time, when Okoye gets there, she lets them know that Shuri wants them to meet her in the armory, because now Shuri has gone above and beyond to enhance the forces of Wakanda and prepare them for war. And she says here, I allowed our father to die because I was afraid. I gave Ra and Khonshu information because I was afraid. I do not wish to escape justice, T'Challa, but I wish to no longer be afraid. Let me fight in this war. Let me use what I have built. My brother, my king. On your mercy, set me free. So yeah, in Shuri's case, this is her way of trying to earn her keep or make things right. But to me, it's kind of like, I just don't like the whole Shuri traitor thing. I don't know. But yeah, drop a like, drop a hype, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Because again, for me, this whole Shuri being the traitor thing, it just feels weird. And I don't know, that could just be me. I don't know. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.